Hey everyone, and welcome back to Uncle Sam Fun English. I'm Theus.
And I'm Belle. Ready for another exciting lesson?
Absolutely. Today we're diving into unlocking your conversation fluency fast with just 10 minutes a day.
Feeling stuck in basic English and struggling to have real conversations is frustrating, right?
We're going to show you how to break through those barriers and become a confident English speaker.
Let's jump right in.
So Belle, what's the biggest struggle people face when trying to become fluent in conversational English?
Well, Theus, I think a huge problem is simply not practicing enough, especially speaking. People study grammar and vocabulary, but they often avoid actually having conversations. A common mistake is focusing too much on perfection before even opening your mouth.
Yeah, I remember when I started learning English, I was so worried about making mistakes that I barely spoke. Did you experience something similar?
Absolutely. I felt like every sentence had to be grammatically perfect before I could say it. But that's just not realistic, especially when you're trying to have a natural conversation. People get caught up in the rules and forget the goal: communication.
Exactly. For example, I see learners hesitating, trying to find the perfect word, which disrupts the flow. Or they overthink sentence structure and end up using stilted, unnatural phrases. How do you do, instead of, how's it going?
Right, and this hesitation often leads to frustration and eventually, giving up. They believe they're not progressing, but it's because they're not putting in the time to actually speak and get comfortable with the language in real time. The fear of errors paralyzes them.
I also notice that some learners stick to textbook dialogues, which are rarely applicable to everyday situations. They can recite phrases perfectly, but they freeze when faced with an unexpected question or a different accent. They lack adaptability.
Precisely. Learning in a structured environment is great, but it's crucial to apply that knowledge in spontaneous conversations. The impact of this lack of practice is slower progress, decreased confidence, and ultimately, a failure to achieve fluency. It's a vicious cycle.
So how do we fix this vicious cycle and get people speaking confidently in English?
The key is consistent, daily practice. Even just a few minutes a day can make a huge difference if you focus on active conversation and real-world application. We need to break down the fear of making mistakes. Alright, so let's talk about the first crucial step. Focus on learning phrases, not just individual words. Think of words as building blocks, but phrases are the pre-built sections of a house.
That makes sense. So, instead of just learning the word, hungry, we should learn phrases like, I'm hungry, or, are you hungry? Can you give me a few more examples?
Absolutely. Instead of just knowing, car, learn, I drive a car, he washed his car, or, that's a nice car. It's about seeing the word in action, within a context. Don't just learn, book. Learn, I'm reading a book. That book is interesting. Or, can I borrow your book?
Okay, I'm getting it. So, if I wanted to learn happy, I shouldn't just memorize the definition, but say something like, I am very happy today, or, this song makes me happy, right?
Exactly. You're starting to think like a fluent speaker. It's about associating the word with real-life situations and expressing complete thoughts. Also, pay attention to how native speakers use these phrases.
So, just memorizing a dictionary definition isn't enough. I need to see how the word is actually used in conversations or in writing. Like, instead of, excited, I should learn, I'm excited about the trip.
Precisely. And that brings us to the next layer. Notice the subtle nuances of usage. For example, we might say, I'm excited about something in the future, but I was excited by something that already happened.
Okay, so it's not just about knowing the phrase, but also understanding when and how to use it correctly. Can you give me a couple more examples of these subtle differences?
Sure. We might say, I'm interested in learning a new language, implying a general curiosity. But we might say, I'm interested to see the results of the experiment, implying anticipation and a specific outcome. Learning these small differences is key.
So Belle, what about those tricky situations where you're not directly agreeing or disagreeing, but you want to show you understand someone's point?
That's a great question, Theus. Sometimes, it's more about acknowledging their perspective than taking a firm stance. You can use phrases like, I see where you're coming from, or, I understand your point.
Okay, so if someone says, I think working from home is much more productive, I could say, I see where you're coming from, even if I personally prefer the office.
Exactly. It shows you're listening and respecting their opinion, even if you don't fully agree. You could then add, while I value the social interaction of the office, I understand the focus you get at home.
So, it's a way to soften potential disagreement? What if I actually agree with parts of what they're saying, but not everything?
Then you can use phrases like, I agree with you to a point, or, that's partly true. These acknowledge the validity of some of their argument while leaving room for your own perspective.
For example, I agree with you to a point that working from home can save time, but I think it can also blur the lines between work and personal life.
Precisely. You're acknowledging the benefit of saving time, while introducing a potential drawback. It's a more nuanced response than a simple, yes, or no.
Are there any situations where these phrases might not be appropriate? Like, would I use, I see where you're coming from, in a heated argument?
Probably not. In a heated argument, these phrases might come across as dismissive or sarcastic. It's better suited for more neutral or cooperative conversations. You might need something stronger.
So, context is key. What if someone is completely wrong about something factual? Do I still use a softer approach?
Even then, you can be diplomatic. Instead of saying, you're wrong, you could say, that's an interesting perspective. I've read that, and then present the correct information. It's about being informative rather than confrontational.
Got it. So, I see where you're coming from. Is more about acknowledging someone's opinion rather than agreeing with a factual statement.
Exactly. It's about empathy and understanding their viewpoint, even if you don't share it. Think of it as building a bridge instead of erecting a wall.
Okay, that makes sense. What about situations where you want to buy yourself some time to think before responding?
Great point. You can use phrases like, that's a good question, or, that's an interesting point. Let me think about that for a moment. It gives you a chance to gather your thoughts and formulate a more considered response.
So, I could say, that's a good question. I need to consider the long-term implications before I can give you a solid answer.
Perfect. It buys you time and shows that you're taking their question seriously. Avoid filler words like, or, and replace them with these phrases.
And what about when someone's explaining something complex, and you want to make sure you're following along?
Use phrases like, so, what you're saying is, or, if I understand correctly, followed by your summary of their point. This confirms your understanding and gives them a chance to clarify if necessary.
Okay, so if someone's explaining a new marketing strategy, I could say, so, what you're saying is, we're focusing on social media advertising to reach a younger demographic?
Exactly. This shows you're actively listening and trying to grasp the core idea. Plus, it prevents misunderstandings down the line. It also shows that you are engaged.
This is really helpful, Belle. I feel much more confident navigating those gray areas in conversations now.
Glad I could help, Theus. Mastering these phrases is key to effective communication and building stronger relationships. Remember to practice using them in your everyday conversations.
I will, thanks. It's all about finding the right balance between expressing your own views and acknowledging the perspectives of others.
Advanced learners often struggle with nuanced prepositions like on, in, and at when describing specific locations within larger contexts.
Could you give me a practical example of where this commonly trips people up?
Absolutely. Think about saying you're in a conference, at a conference, or on a conference call. Each implies something slightly different.
Right. So, in a conference implies being physically present, attending sessions, right?
Precisely. But at a conference suggests you're just located at the venue, maybe working from a booth or briefly attending. It's less immersive.
Okay, and on a conference call? That's obviously virtual, connected electronically, not physically at the conference.
Exactly. The preposition totally changes the context. It's these subtle shifts that distinguish fluent speakers. Another example is saying, I'm in the car, meaning inside it, versus, I'm on the bus, a larger public transport.
And if you're finding this helpful, don't forget to subscribe to Uncle Sam Fun English.
Absolutely. Also consider, I live on Oak Street, versus I live in a house. On denotes the street name, whereas in indicates the dwelling type.
Oh, that's a good distinction. So, if I said, I'm working on a project in the library, would that be correct?
Perfectly correct. On signifies the task, in the location. You're showing a clear grasp of those prepositions there.
What if I said, I'm at the library, but I'm actually working remotely from a cafe nearby?
Tricky. Technically, at implies your general location is the library area. It's a gray area, but for precision, you'd say, I'm working near the library.
So, context is key. What about events, on or at?
It depends. At a party, at a concert, at a meeting are all common. But you might say, he was on stage at the concert, specifying his position.
So, at is generally for the location, and on is for a surface or a specific role?
Generally, yes. Think on as indicating a surface or a connection, like on the internet or on the phone. It can also denote responsibility, like on duty.
This is really helpful. Are there any other common preposition confusions that learners should watch out for?
Definitely. Many learners mix up by, with, and next to. By can mean near or done by, with indicates accompaniment or possession, and next to specifies immediate physical proximity.
Can you give me some examples to illustrate the differences?
Sure. I sat by the window, near. I ate lunch with my friend, accompaniment. The chair is next to the table, proximity. Subtle but important.
So, it's about paying attention to the precise relationship you want to convey. Any final tips for mastering these prepositions?
Immersing yourself in English content is invaluable. Pay attention to how native speakers use prepositions in movies, books, and conversations. That's the best learning tool. Let's practice. I'm going to give you a scenario and you tell me what you would say to start a conversation with a stranger in a coffee shop. Imagine you're waiting in line.
Okay, sounds fun. I guess I could say something like, this line is long, isn't it? Is that too obvious?
That's a great start. It's simple and relatable, but let's make it a little more engaging. Instead of just stating a fact, try to elicit a response or opinion. How about, have you tried anything from their seasonal menu? I'm thinking about the pumpkin spice latte.
Ah, much better. Okay, I get it. So, have you tried anything from their seasonal menu? I'm thinking about the pumpkin spice latte. Perfect.
Exactly. Now, let's say the person says they haven't tried anything. How would you keep the conversation going?
Okay, I could say something like, oh really? What do you usually order here? I'm always looking for new recommendations.
That's excellent. You're asking for their opinion and showing genuine interest. Now, let's switch scenarios. You're sitting at a table and someone is struggling to find a seat. What do you say?
Okay, this one is a bit easier. I would probably say, excuse me, are you looking for a seat? You're welcome to join me, I have an extra chair.
Great. That's very kind and direct. But let's add a little bit of personal touch. Try something like, hi there. Looks like it's pretty crowded. You're welcome to share this table if you'd like. I don't mind the company.
Okay, I see. So, it's about making it more inviting and less transactional. Hi there, looks like it's pretty crowded. You're welcome to share this table if you'd like. I don't mind the company.
Precisely. Now, let's imagine you are at a networking event. You want to start a conversation with someone you've never met before. What's your opening line?
This one is tricky. I'm always a bit nervous at networking events. I might just say, hi, I'm Theus. What do you do?
That's a standard approach, but it can feel a bit generic. Try to find something specific to comment on, like the event itself or a speaker. How about, hi, I'm Belle. What did you think of the keynote speaker? I found their points about AI really fascinating.
That's much better. It shows you're engaged and gives them something concrete to respond to. Hi, I'm Theus. What did you think of the keynote speaker? I found their points about AI really fascinating.
Exactly. Remember, the key is to find common ground and show genuine interest. Now, let's try one more. You're at a bookstore and someone is looking at the same book as you.
Okay, easy. I'd say, oh, are you thinking of buying this one? Have you read anything else by this author?
Good. That's a natural way to connect. But let's add a little more personality. Try. That's a great choice. I've heard amazing things about this book. Have you read anything else by this author that you would recommend?
Okay. Adding a little enthusiasm and asking for a recommendation. Got it. That's a great choice. I've heard amazing things about this book. Have you read anything else by this author that you would recommend?
Perfect. Now, it's your turn to come up with a scenario and an opening line. Imagine you're at a park and someone is walking a really cute dog. What would you say?
Okay, this is right up my alley. I love dogs. I think I would say, "Oh my gosh, your dog is adorable. What breed is it?" And then I'd probably ask if I could pet it.
Excellent. That's a fantastic opening line. It's genuine, positive, and dog owners always love talking about their pets.
This is actually really helpful. I think I've been overthinking it, trying to come up with something clever instead of just being friendly and curious.
Exactly. The best conversations start with simple, genuine interactions. Now, it's your turn to put this into practice in your daily life. Look for opportunities to strike up conversations with people around you.
I will definitely try. I'll make a point of starting at least one conversation every day this week. Maybe I'll start with the barista at my favorite coffee shop.
That's a great idea. Remember to relax, be yourself, and show genuine interest in what the other person has to say. The more you practice, the easier it will become.
Thanks, Belle. This has been really helpful. I feel much more confident about starting conversations now.
You've got this, Theus. And remember, everyone enjoys a friendly chat. Now, listeners, we encourage you to try these techniques as well. Find those opportunities to connect, even with brief interactions.
Yes, don't be afraid to put yourself out there and start practicing. The more you do it, the more natural it will become. And you never know where those conversations might lead. So, remember, consistent short practice is key to unlocking real fluency in your English conversations.
Try setting aside just 10 minutes each day to practice speaking, and you'll see a big improvement.
Believe in yourself, keep practicing, and you'll get there.
Remember to subscribe to Uncle Sam Fun English for more lessons like this to boost your fluency.
Thanks for listening. Keep practicing.
See you next time. Bye everyone.